Good morning, and welcome to this edition of the Word and the Villages. Hi, I'm Pastor Paul. I would like to welcome you this morning to today's video. Today is February 14th of 2021, and yes, it is Valentine's Day, so don't forget to take care of that and make sure your significant other knows that you love them and respect them. Today I would like to begin with reading the word out of the Bible. It's 2 Corinthians chapter 4 verses 3 through 6. So hear these words. And even if our gospel is veiled, it is veiled to those who are perishing. The God of this age has blinded the minds of the unbelievers, so that they cannot see the light of the gospel of the glory of Christ, who is in the image of God. For we do not preach ourselves, but rather Jesus Christ our Lord, and ourselves as your servants for Jesus' sake. For God, who said, "Let light shine out of darkness," maketh light shine in the hearts, to give us the light and the knowledge of the glory of God in the face of Jesus Christ. God bless this reading. Today, as we gather here, we heard the scripture text referring to the glory of Jesus Christ and the glory of God. And today we will be looking at that. But before we begin, I'd like to give you a little background here at the Villages where we live. In the Villages here, our yards aren't very big, which means you don't have to mow very much, and in my case, I mow nothing at all because we hire it done. Here you can hire everything done that you needed done, from spraying for bugs, spraying for fertilizing your yard, for trimming your yard, for taking care of your landscaping. There is a person here for that. It's like being on your smartphone. You know, there's an app for that. Well, here there is an app for that. Somebody will take care of the needs of your house and take even care of the needs of watching your house when you're gone, if you would like. So the Villages is a unique place where people of a similar mindset, similar age, gather to live in retirement and to enjoy the perks of living in the Villages here. And the perks are many, from many different social clubs to the different recreation areas to the different shopping areas. We have several pharmacies within just a quarter of a mile, half a mile at the most, and we can get there by golf cart. Many fine restaurants, yes, even McDonald's, we can get to by golf cart. And our favorite shopping center, Walmart, yes, we can get there by golf cart. But the idea is that we have everything we need just in a short drive. And yes, even church by golf cart. And we've been there and we've done that. So it's a unique village. I invite all of you to come down here and look it over. There is a program that's called Lifestyles, where you can come down here for 3 days, I do believe. And they put you in a home in the Villages for 3 days. They give you a golf cart and you can explore, make up your own mind what you think. And it's very reasonable to stay for 3 days here in the Villages for a lifestyle visit. Of course, they're going to give you a tour and they would like to sell you a home, but there's no obligations to do so. So I would invite you to come and see what the Village is all about, because it is a very wonderful place. And I know it's about, it's below zero back home, and today it's going to be in the mid-70s and rainy. But yet, I'll take mid-70s and rainy over negative temperatures and snow. So come check it out. It is part of the Villages. So today we want to talk about the word that Paul expressed in 2 Corinthians as he's writing his letter to the Corinthian church. I encourage them to put their light forth so other people can see and understand the glory of Jesus Christ. And so I ask you this morning, What does glory mean? What does it mean to you is a better question. What does it mean? Well, the dictionary says it's a high honor won by notable achievement. In other words, you have to put an effort out to get glory. The message just happens to be entitled No Guts, No Glory. It could have been No Sacrifice, No Glory. And Jesus Christ knew all about sacrifice, didn't he? But when I come to thinking about glory, I think about the Olympics. I think about young men and women who have trained all of their lives for just one moment to be able to stand on that podium and receive a gold medal. And that gold medal didn't come because they were good looking or a certain flavor, a certain culture. They got that glory by hard work and sacrifice. Olympians train for just that one moment to be able to stand there and receive the glory through a gold medal and to hear their national anthem being played. It's quite an honor. I also think about Jim McKay. You know, the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat, which very well could be tied into glory. Now I ask you, do you remember ABC's Wild World of Sports, their beginning, when they would show shots of the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat? And there you see some poor soul that's going to jump off a ski jump, and instead he's somersaulting over the end of it. And that's the only image we can recall. We don't think about the thrill of a victory, but we sure know about the agony of defeat. Do you know who that person was? Do you know the year? Well, it was 1970, 50 years ago last March. 50 years. That doesn't even seem possible. You know, as young people, we would gather in front of the TV on Saturdays to watch The Wild World of Sports with Jim McKay and to watch the opening shot of this poor fool sliding off the end of a ski jump a gazillion miles in the air going 60 miles an hour. What was he thinking? Well, his name was Vinko Bogacic, and he was from Eastern Europe, and he was there for the National Ski Flying Championship, and all he got was immortality through a videotape for ABC. What did he get? He got a broken ankle and a mild concussion. And believe it or not, he is 72 years old. He's still alive, living in Eastern Europe, and he is now a renowned painter. But he never received any glory from ski jumping. Oh yes, he got his 5 minutes of fame, but it wasn't the glory that he was seeking. And so you can see that in our lives, sacrifice comes through hard work, determination, and receiving the glory. Of course, we know that's not the glory that Paul is talking about today. But I have one more short story to tell you here about a group of men. It was the year 1863, and all African American regiment was formed, and it was led by a black officer named Robert Shaw. The Union military needed a regiment to go and try to take out Fort Wagner, which is on Morris Island, that protects Charlotte, South Carolina. Charleston, South Carolina. This regiment, again, was all African Americans, led by Robert Shaw. And in 1863, they were sent to assault this fort. and they failed miserably. Robert Shaw was shot and mortally wounded, and 40% of the African American regiment was killed or missing in action. But their glory was forever. Why? Because it instilled the hearts of their African American brothers that were living in the North to sign up for the Union Army. And because of that event, 180,000 African American men signed up for the Union Army to help the cause of freedom. They made a movie about this story, and it's entitled Glory. It stars Denzel Washington, Matthew Broderick, and other famous actors. But the story is compelling. I have watched this movie, and it is compelling to see them dying on the sand below the fort that was heavily fortified. They made the ultimate sacrifice for their country. That's where the glory comes in, doesn't it? Making the ultimate sacrifice for your country. Well, Jesus Christ came upon the scene, and he wound up that story because he died on a cross for you and me to save the world. Yes, the world we live in. And I would like to talk about that today. And the first thing I would like to talk about is achieving glory. You know, achieving glory is something that's just not handed to you. It's not a gift, and it is definitely not free. You have to, as I always said, suffer success. Many years ago, I was working for a gentleman, and we were trying to put a bathroom in upstairs. And it was an old house. And one day, we were not getting along very good. And it was up and down the stairs, into the basement, back up to the second floor, trying to get the plumbing hooked up. And finally, at the end of the day, the owner said, "Well, Paul, I see you suffered success today." And many times, success comes at the cost of suffering. Glory comes at the cost of suffering, the loss of life. You see, Jesus Christ did all of these things for you and me. You know, earlier in the chapter, Paul talks about running a race till the race is finished. Have you ever been to a marathon or a high school track meet? The mile? Or even longer? We attended many track meets back when our daughters were in school, especially my oldest daughter, Sherry. And we watched the long distance runners. And there was good runners, and then there was bad runners. But they were runners. And we would stand there, and even after the champion come across the line, it may be 5 minutes from then, the last person would come across the line, but yet we still clapped and cheered, probably more for that person that strove to finish the race no matter what happened. Even if he or she was in last place, they finished the race. And that's important in life, to finish the race, as Paul said, because then you receive your crown of glory, because you worked and lived for Jesus Christ. You see, glory does come with a price. It comes with pain and suffering, and even sometimes death. But glory also represents achievements. And for Jesus Christ, it's the cross that sits on our altar table. It's a cross hanging on the wall, or the giant cross along the interstate, or little crosses in a ditch from a car accident that represent Jesus Christ. And it opens a door, that cross does, opens the door for you and me. It is basically the light of the good news. And after you see the light of the good news, you're able to see the glory. Remember Moses in the Old Testament when he went up on the mountain and his face shone so bright that he had to wear a veil because he had seen the likeness of God and his glory? And he put a veil on so the other people could not see the glory that his face shone so much for. But it's a reminder to the Corinthian church that they need to let their light shine. Because Paul said in the story today that Satan had put a veil on the face of the unbelievers, meaning they could not see this glory of Jesus Christ and what Jesus had done for them, because Satan and all his wisdom had blinded the unbelievers. And at one time he blinded you and me. But the important thing is that we can show the light to the unbelievers so we can break through the veil that Satan has put on their faces. That's important to each of us as Christians. And you know, for the last year we have worn masks. Masks over our noses and our mouth. They keep us from spreading the virus and also breathing the virus. And I ask you, how often was it hard to see out of that mask? You know, your eyes would water up, or maybe you had glasses on and they would steam up and you could hardly see. And that's what Paul is talking about, that veil that Satan has put over our faces so that we cannot see the truth. So it's important for us as Christians to be able to help other people see the light of Jesus Christ and His glory through whatever we need to do to remove walls and barriers, and yes, even remove the mask, allowing people to see. You see, when we do that, the glory of others, including Jesus Christ, bring hope to you and me. Back in 1863, the glory of the African American men's regiment brought hope and glory for countless thousands of other African Americans. And so it's important for us to bring that hope and the message of Jesus Christ to the world that you and me live in today. You know, the song that John Newton wrote so many years ago in reference to his coming to know Jesus Christ, and now even being on a slave trading ship, knowing what was right and what was wrong, yet Satan had blinded him. Satan had blinded him to the fact of how he needed to treat other people. And that message rings loud and clear through his song, Amazing Grace. And I would like to sing the first verse for you today as we close. Hear John Newton's words in this song. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now am found. Was blind, but now I see. God bless, and we'll see you next week.